If you're training calisthenics, you've definitely had the issue before that you're thinking about all the skills that you want to do and you're getting panicked because there's so many things that you have to train at once. And when you get better, how do you not lose the earlier skills? And when do you even begin with which skills? I've done the same style of videos for pushing skills before that you can watch on my channel. Today, we're going to cover pulling, how to start with that. Just as with pushing, before you start with skills, you gotta make sure basics are good. I'm gonna go through all of these exercises today. It's gonna be an uncut video, and it's gonna be one take, and mostly uncut. If I stutter or something, I'm gonna cut it out, but mostly uncut. So this is gonna mean I'm gonna get more fatigued as the video goes on. Maybe have to overlay a couple of things, but let's do it. Before you start with the pulling skills, you want to make sure your basics are solid. This means you want to be able to do actual good pull-ups where you can actually get chin over bar, you have good control of your shoulder blades. If that is not something you can do yet, you want to build up that strength with bands and also making movements easier than the pull-ups if you like close but not fully there, like a chin-up, for example. Easier for many people. Get it to at least 888 reps. That's usually the threshold that I aim for. Doesn't mean that you are always strong enough for skills at that point, but I've just seen building up to that point with clients gives the body enough time to let the tendons adapt for the skills afterwards, and in most cases make sure you are strong enough. What you want to focus on with all of these exercises are things like you're able to engage your shoulder blades with straight arms, you're able to keep them down as you do a pull-up. That's mainly it. You don't want to flare, so we're looking for form mistakes. As long as you're not doing any of those, you should be good. Now, the next thing, or not the next thing, let me point the camera down as well so you can see this. If you're starting at a much lower level, of course, then make sure you start with things like Australian pull-ups, which even somebody that can do pull-ups can implement into their plan. But if you're starting at a level that pull-ups are too hard, at least build up to these, then banded pull-ups, maybe chin-ups, and eventually that goal of 888 pull-ups. And now we start with skills. The first skill, let's adjust the camera again. The first skill that you kind of want to work towards is the muscle up. Why? You could also train for the front lever, but what I just found is that the front lever is a skill that takes much longer to complete. So there's a longer time in which you're like not seeing the completion of a skill. So more difficult to stay motivated. The muscle up, as long as you made sure to prepare properly, you have a quicker win, something that's achievable in most cases within 3 months. And what you need for it is first understanding the technique, right? This whole pendulum motion. The muscle up is something where you need to swing forward and you need to time when you pull. It's exactly at the point where your swing stops and turns into a backward swing. That's when you pull, right? First, you need high pull-ups. We're building towards a explosive muscle up, not a slow muscle up with false grip or on the rings, because that's very strenuous on the elbows. Again, multiple ways to do it. You could learn it earlier. I've just found more strenuous on the elbows, easier to do explosive muscle up first. We want to build high pull-ups. As long as you can pull to the lower chest height, like this, you're pretty much all set, because a muscle up then is just leaning forward. You can build this up with bands again. I had one just now. You can take a band, a thicker one than this, and make sure it's a band assistance that you can at least get a couple reps with. I usually like to start with 4 reps to lower chest height, both feet into the bar, swing forward, lower chest height. When that is a size where you can reach lower chest height and keep that rhythm, you build it up to 6, then you can drop one band size lower, and you can retry at 4, 4, 4 until you're eventually at reaching lower chest height with the thinnest band. Then what you can do to continue towards muscle ups is take the thickest band that you have, put it over the bar. Remember the technique that we talked about with high pull-ups. It's going to be the same for the muscle up. You pretty much get into the band, you step forward. At the moment where the forward swing ends, you pull up. What helps here as well is at the same time you also pull in your knees. So you want to go in front, knees up, and now you get over. Looks too quick, I'll explain more. Basically, you do a high pull-up just like you used to, and your main focus should really be on pulling as high as you can. When you pass the lower chest, all you do is just with your head, with your shoulders, lean over, right? I'll do it again. You swing in front, up and over, like that. And I can even do this with my low ceiling. The dip is not that important. Once you're on top, you won't fall back down. The dip is just a dip. You can do that if you prepare it well enough. From here, you can use the same method with 4 to 6 if you end up being able to do a lot. What I like to use as well for people that start with just being able to do 1 rep of these muscle ups is the 1 to 4 method or 1 to 3 method. That just means you begin with being able to do 1 of these, right? And 1 rep is very low, so we do 4 sets. 1 rep, 4 sets, we are able to get on top of the bar. Next, eventually we build up to being able to do 2 reps in at least 1 of the sets. Eventually you're able to do 2 reps in all of the sets. Then you're able to do 3 reps in all of the sets. And that means that you can drop a band size. Let me check if the recording is still going. Yeah, it is. That means that you can drop a band size. The ability to do multiple reps usually sets you up for being able to do at least 1 rep with the next lower band size. And that's how we work our way until the lowest band. And when you're doing it unassisted, it doesn't have to be super clean. The band with your feet inside of it kind of restricts you to doing it very clean. When you do it unassisted, do it on a stable bar, like a really stable bar that is like in concrete in a park or in a gym or screwed into the wall, because you're going to be using more swing. At the same time that you would pull, explosively pull in your knees, like this, right? This is because you're not locked into the bands, it's a more explosive pull now. And then you've got your first skill, the kipping muscle up. We can do the same thing. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, build it up to 3 reps, and then you can start with the more straight leg muscle up. You kind of want to envision it as an explosive L-sit, right? Swing forward, you explosively go into L-sit and go up that way. It's a little bit harder than the bent leg version. You still get on top of the bar. You follow the same methodology. If you need extra steps in between, you can do that with the bands again, but you follow the same methodology of building up reps, and then you want to get a clean muscle up. However, here is a point of crossroad. You can spend more time to get from those explosive straight leg muscle ups to being a muscle up champion, right? Getting reps that look like this, super clean, where there's like 0 movement, or getting to slow muscle ups like this, where you can literally just pause here. You do it with false grip, and you learn it on rings as well. You can unlock all these skills, or even do weighted muscle ups. You can do that. It's going to take extra time though, and it's still the muscle up. Boring for a lot of people. So you can also, at this point, I usually say like 3 reps of straight leg muscle up with some kip. That's your decision point. Do I want to go for more muscle ups, or do I want to go for starting a new skill like the front lever. The good thing is, no matter which way you go, if you keep training, you're also going to have like weighted pull-ups still in your plan. So they have general strength increase effects if you do it right. No matter which path you do, there's always going to be some carryover to the other one. But what I found, and this is based on experience that I've had on myself and with clients, I've never trained for these muscle ups. I just did front levers. And does that mean that everybody that gets good in front lever is going to have very good muscle ups without ever training them? No. But does it mean that there's some sort of carryover from muscle up to from front lever to muscle up? Yeah, 100%. And I found that from front lever to muscle up, there's bigger carryover than if you get really good at muscle up. You're still going to be able to do a front lever maybe earlier, but it's going to be bad form. So front lever to muscle up, a little bit more carryover than muscle up to front lever. That's why I like to do the switch here with a lot of my clients. So that's what we're going to talk about. But just to give you some extra tips, if you want to go for a muscle up really cleanly, focus on dorsiflexion. This really helps if you want to keep your legs from moving. Dorsiflexion, so pulling your toes up, keeps your quads engaged. You can even add something like, here. You can even put something between your feet, like this. How do I get up? 1 second. You can even put something between your feet like this, and then that's gonna stop you from moving with the feet, and you can build up clean form like this. And for things like slow muscle ups, you want to build up your false grip mainly, and you can do so with false grip hangs, you can do so with false grip pull-ups, and eventually you build up. So much for the muscle up. Now let's go to the front lever. Let me adjust the camera. Recording is still going, it seems. That's great. It would be hell if I had to restart this whole thing. Today's a rest day as well, by the way. Anyways, front lever. The good thing is, since you now, after having completed all of this, already have some good calisthenics experience, you don't start at tuck, usually. You will start at being able to do a tuck. It feels kind of awkward. You get the idea of the front lever, but you can do it good tuck. From there, the road to the advanced tuck, right, like this, usually goes rather quickly. And that's your next goal. Build to an advanced tuck. You want to make sure your arms are at least visibly straight. You want to make sure the hips and the shoulders are on the same height. And that's what you're going to be building towards. You can do so with statics and also dynamics. Dynamics being, you start on the pull-up bar. Do adjust it again. You start on the pull-up bar. You start from a hang, for example, and you do like a raise. Like this, that's a tuck front lever raise. Or you do a tuck front lever pull, which is all the way to the bar. You can build your way up with dynamic progressions like that as your secondary exercise. The primary exercise that I would keep in the plan though, would be building the hold. And I would do so on a low bar, because if you raise into it, you waste a lot of strength. So low bar, you're able to already set yourself up into position, just drop into it, advanced tuck. From advanced tuck, build, like here's advanced tuck, past advanced tuck, make that the next goal that you have. Because once you've gotten the past advanced tuck, usually that sets you up for being able to do, it's not rocket science, but it often works. You get a good angle, so you're often able to get a full front lever from here, or at least, we gotta take a different bar because this one is not high enough for that. And that's also a tip that I can give you. Get yourself a static bar for these half-life progressions because they're great, but you can't really do them on the regular dip bars because your feet are going to be touching the floor. So the goal would be past advanced tuck, That brings you to being able to do a full front lever with the band sometimes, and if it doesn't, what it usually still allows you to do is a straddle half lay. Now, from here, the good thing is you've made it out of the bent hip zone. Once you're able to actually fully extend those hips for the first time, progress is going to ramp up. You can go from that straddle half lay with a band. I would always keep an unassisted front lever exercise in the plan as well, to not get reliant on the band. You're going to have two exercises, a primary and a secondary. One of them I would keep unbanded. Right, but let's say after the pass advanced tuck you got a straddle half lay with a medium band. I wouldn't use a big band, that's just wasting time, because with a big band usually even at the beginning you can do a full. So yeah, it's too much assistance, but a medium one is good. You can do a straddle half lay with this. Then you build up to like 6 to 8 seconds. The higher you build, the lower you fall once you increase intensity. You can test this quite easily. Get to 6 to 8 seconds and try the next, right? The half lay. If you're able to do 4 seconds and they're actually holding and not like 4 seconds of dropping, slow negative fall, they're actually 4 seconds of a hold, you're ready for that next step. If they're not, then you can extend that straddle half lay and just build that further. Many other ways to do it, of course, but that usually works. Extend that straddle half lay hold time a little bit longer, and then you eventually get the 4 seconds of full half lay. Once you've gotten the 4 seconds of full half lay, it's the same thing again, right? You can build to eventually 6 seconds of full half lay or 8 seconds. And when you do that, then what I usually like to do is not carry on with the full, but our goal is to reach the unassisted half lay quite quickly to go back to experiencing the full weight. With the band, you have the full leverage experience or an extended leverage experience compared to what you can do unassisted, but you feel it at reduced weight. And we want to change that. We want to go back to full weight. So we are going to try, once you've built up to 8 seconds, let's say, half lay, banded half lay, you can try with a lower band. And if 4 seconds of banded half lay works and they're actually static, you can build from here to 6 to 8 again. And once you're at the lowest band, which shouldn't take a long time unless you made the mistake of starting with a very thick band, I would really just use a medium to light and a very light. Then you are at the full half lay rather quickly. And the good thing is, once you've been able to hold that for a little bit, and you actually have a hold, and you build that to 6, and you build that to 8, in your first deload week, when attempting a full front lever, you usually get it. The problem here is, most people get excited, and they want to implement it too early. Hold back. Keep building the straddle half lay seconds until you actually have a front lever that you can hold, and not a front lever that sags or a front lever that drops, because you would stay stuck with that for a long time. It's going to be frustrating, and you only did it because of your ego. So hold back until you can actually do 4 seconds of hold, and then you could implement it. And that's my way that often works, getting to a front lever. There are some clients that get stuck here and there, and we can use dynamic exercises like the front lever pulls in also more difficult variations to bridge that gap and break that plateau. Or we can use progressions in between. Some people don't do well with the half lay because they can't coordinate it. Then those people would benefit from, for example, doing a straddle front lever. There are some people that could benefit from an advanced tuck one-legged front lever. Never one leg, just advanced tuck one leg. I've done a reel on this, but especially if you pull the knees in closer to your center of mass, the one leg can be very deceiving because you think I'm 50% there to the full skill, but you're actually not, because you're pulling that leg behind your center of mass, which is evening out the load that you carry. So one leg feels like an advancement, but it's actually easier than the other progressions. Skip it. But advanced tuck one leg, you're past your center of mass, so it's a usable progression. Let me check again if the recording is still going. Sorry, just hit something. So that's that. And now we've got a full front lever. Now, where do you go from this? If you want to keep advancing to front lever presses and front lever pull-ups, that's the way to go. A front lever press, you can get multiple ways. You can like go the clean way and you can start to do it with bands and kind of work towards that, or you skip the bands and you make it with a little bit more attempts. It's much easier to press straight up instead of pressing after a hold. So most people that have a solid first hold, 4, 5, 6 seconds, can do this. They drop into the front lever, basically reach, they press right back up, and now it's just about trying to stop that again and hold it. That's your first front lever press. Avoid bending significantly at the hip and build up your control in this, doing more and more stop. Banded front lever presses can help, where you just go into position, stop for a moment and press up as your secondary exercise with a little bit more of assistance. You can also do front lever presses where you actually do multiple reps, right? You actually go to here, do another rep, and you actually use it as an exercise to build up. You can do that. And eventually, your straight arm front lever is going to be strong enough for you to think about bend arm progressions. Bend arm progressions have different angles in which they work with. Because you're in a different shoulder angle, different muscle groups are engaged as well. This is much more lat and shoulder extensor focused, but the lat isn't very efficient up until here, and it even shuts off past here, so it's more rear delt dominant. So these movements are different, which means technically there are some people that can't wait and they do touches and all of that much earlier than the presses, and they can make significant progress being able to do a front lever pull-up, front lever touch, even without their hold being very good. That's possible because the movements are so different. But if you always have a really bad front lever that you come down from after having done a touch, it's gonna stay a bad front lever for quite long. But if you've built up to a pretty good front lever before you go to that bend arm progressions, then just the simple act of dropping down from a front lever touch, front lever pull-up, and doing like a 2-second hold in clean form is often enough to keep and even improve your front lever hold. So I suggest really make it solid, get a good press before you move to bend arm progressions, but then we can start with them. And I will show you something. You saw me putting on wrist straps, and that is important actually, because these new progressions are going to involve false grip. Let me check if the recording is on. Stressful. If this goes out, I'm yeah, so false grip. We need it for these progressions. You could do it without false grip, but it's a hassle because it's so much more difficult. Everybody does it with false grip. And false grip means your wrist is actually sitting on top of the bar. And that's going to be painful for your wrist bone. So putting on wrist straps like these are from Gornation. That's the brand that I'm sponsored by, the brand that I work with. So you can get a discount with Levi 10 as well for everything, like the dip bars, the station. I use all that stuff because it's just the best. The quality is just the best. But yeah, it helps because it's not so painful. We want to start with building to the bend arm progressions, and you can do this in multiple ways. This is where opinions differ. For me personally, the touch was more like easier to get to the top than the pull-up. But I first started building up some bend arm strength, right? Because my first kind of pull-ups were like, I was able to do a little bit, but nowhere near pulling to the top. I built that up a little bit until I could do some And as you can see, we're doing that in advanced tuck, simply just kind of dropping into it, and similar to the press, you don't want to pause there and pull up. It's much easier to go straight in and pull straight up. Then you're at least getting some height. You build that up to like 2-3 reps. That's what I did. And then I had a first solid advanced tuck front lever pull up. And getting to the final point of touching is possible for some people. For me, it was very difficult though. And this is where my first experience with touches came in. There's again multiple different ways of doing this, and we're getting into more advanced territory now. But what's always very important is keep your line straight. So what I see often with people doing these is they do something like this, right? You don't want to lose your line when you go down from the front lever, because you want to keep that front lever strength. Now, after you've built up to some good first pull-ups, which you can do with advanced tuck. If it's too difficult, you can also do things like L pull-ups, where you're like this, which allows you to be a little bit higher with the hips, and your legs go a little bit behind the bar, which makes it a little bit easier than advanced tuck, and then you can build up to advanced tuck front lever pull-ups. If you're very front lever pull-up focused, which some people are, some people build up the front lever pull-up till it's perfect, other people move on to the touch. If you're very focused on that, you can continue after the advanced tuck with a progression like the front lever advanced tuck one leg pull-up, for example, and just move on towards banded front lever pull-ups, which you can do with a setup like this, for example, where you set up a band on top of the bar, wrap it around your waist like this, you kind of step into it. You get it under your waist, and you can do front lever pull-ups like this and build up to eventually being able to do it with a light band, and then eventually no band. That's one way you could do it. What I personally did is I came to some good, let's change the angle again. You can see that I'm getting fatigued as well as this video goes on. What I like to do is, when I back then got to the advanced tuck front lever pull-ups and was happy with those, I continued with touches, where at the start they may have looked in advanced tuck like this, not being able to fully hold the top position, but then later they looked eventually like this, all the way to the top. And that's what helped me actually being able to do front lever pull-ups to the top. And I combined that with attempts of just going into the front lever, pulling up a little bit, pulling up a little bit more, doing more attempts in full front lever touches, and kind of worked my way there. But that's a long journey, and as you get more in the advanced calisthenics strength realm, advanced calisthenics skills, then there's so many different ways to do it. It's more attempt based. You learn to listen to your body more, and there's just so many different ways of training for these skills. But eventually you build up to these front lever pull-ups, you build up to these front lever touches. For most people, a more narrow grip is easier. I'm gonna overlay some clips as well of me doing front lever touches, but you can start with a more narrow grip, work up to a little bit wider grip of touches, and eventually even wider. And then there come skills that I can't even do, like the straight arm touch, and so on. What we haven't talked about yet is that in calisthenics pull, just like in calisthenics push, with the one arm handstand or so, there are skills that don't really fall into this chronological order, the typical chronological order. Because with learning muscle ups and front lever, they go along quite well and they carry over very nicely into each other. But there are also hybrid skills that are a little bit of pull, a little bit of push, like the back lever, This one you kind of get for free usually, or the human flag, a little bit of pull, a little bit of push. Also a skill that a lot of people, especially advanced athletes, never train directly and just reach. But there are also skills that are pure pull, like the one arm pull-up, for example. I'm gonna overlay some clips for this as well. This is one that I personally never trained directly. I was very stoic and really just only going front lever and just getting very good at that. And the benefit is in the higher level, when you're really good at front lever, at least for me, this is not something that is always going to be like that for other people. The other skills came because I had so much strength in the other skills that purely attempts were enough to unlock a one-arm pull-up, for example. And I can do multiple reps of it. I can even do it with a little bit of weight. So this is not a skill that I'm that interested in getting better alone. So I never had to train it directly. But if you do have that as a priority higher than the front lever, it of course doesn't make sense to train the front lever and hope for the one-arm pull-up to come as quick as you can. It would make more sense to build that directly then. And you can do so, I've made videos on this, but you can do so with one arm scapular pulls to first engage your shoulder blades and understand the movement, that there's a certain twist as well. You can learn it with band assistance, where you have to put a band right under the pulling arm and build up to it. Also, again, multiple ways to do it, but it makes more sense to address it directly. You doing weighted pull-ups after your workout for skills also will make your likelihood higher to get those one-arm pull-ups. There are people that say like this certain amount of weight that you pull in a two-arm pull-up will guarantee you a one-arm pull-up, but I see it's the same situation as what I had with the front lever. I reached the one-arm pull-up through the front lever, but I'm not gonna say that you should do front lever to reach one-arm pull-up. No, I say there's carryover. I see it's the same way, even if much closer to the one-arm pull-up with weighted pull-ups. There is a lot of carryover, and that means for a lot of people it's going to work to do it indirectly, but the faster way is still to train it directly. Those are those skills, and I hope I didn't forget any. I probably did, but that is the usual chronological order that I move with, and just doing those skills in this order ensures that you're ready for the next step. You're not skipping any progressions in between. You're not doing things that your body is not ready for at all, but instead you're gradually building it up. And I hope that helped you. I'm fried now. I'm gonna carry on with my day and edit this and upload it for you. But yeah, I'll see you in the next one. And if you've got any suggestions for skills that I've missed, that you wanna have another video on, let me know in the comments, things that I should improve, and hopefully see you on Instagram as well. Daily content. That's it for me.